This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. So, the Positive Grid Spark amp, as I'm sure you know, they came out a couple of years ago to much hype and fanfare. And whenever anything is that heavily publicised, I'm always a little bit sceptical and, like to kind of just see what happens when the dust settles, if you see what I mean. The more I kind of read and heard about the Spark and all of the features that it had, the more I was thinking, yeah, I can see how that would be useful for many people, but it's not something that I would probably need. So, given the fact that the price was, let's say it wasn't an impulse buy, I'd be thinking I'm going to be paying a significant amount of money for stuff I'm not going to be using. I'm already happy with the guitar tones that I've got, etc., etc. But basically, over the past couple of years, I've played through a few Spark amps that have belonged to students and been very impressed with the tones that it makes. And since then, you don't have the big wait time to get your hands on one like you did initially, and the price has come down a little bit. That, coupled with the fact that there was a bit of a deal on Amazon, and I had some money in my Amazon account that I'd forgotten about, meant that it sort of came in at a price that I was a little bit more comfortable with. And if you watch this channel regularly, you'll know that a couple of weeks ago I took delivery of my Spark, and it turned up dead on arrival. So that was a bit of a letdown. The whole process of sending it back to Amazon as well was something of a comedy of errors, but I'll spare you that for the moment. I'll probably recount that tale over a beer on one of the live streams. Anyway, the point is that if I just grab hold of you here, excuse me, I now have a Spark and it works. And this video isn't an in-depth review. You've seen plenty of those already, I'm sure. This is just me sharing my thoughts on what it's like to actually own one, what I make of it, basically. Now I've got one to call me own. Any amplifier, I think, stands or falls by the quality of the sounds that it produces, and for me, any amplifier has to be able to do three things. I've got to have a clean strummy sound for sort of general accompaniment. I've got to have like a mildly overdriven sound for bluesy lead and, kind of crunchy power chord stuff. Essentially, think of it as a 70s classic rock tone. And then I've got to have a big, shouty, fruity, fat, sustainy lead guitar sound for when I'm doing the kind of twiddly stuff. And I've got to tell you, within half an hour of getting the amp out of the box, the working amp out of the box, I had all of those sounds dialed in pretty close to how I want to kind of get them eventually. Tell you what, let's have a listen to those tones that I've got dialed in. You'll hear me playing a little bit, and you'll see me scrolling through the Spark app on my phone to demonstrate the settings that we've got. Let's begin with the clean tone. Sounds like this. And how about a little bit of 70s classic rock crunch? And finally, the big shouty lead tone. Now, I'm reasonably happy with those sounds. I'm probably going to just still end up tweaking the reverbs and the delays a little bit just to kind of get it just dialed in exactly how I want, but those are sounds that I can work with. So, in terms of the sounds that it produces, I'm very happy with it. £250 I think I paid for it. On Amazon for the amp, and let's put that into perspective. On my 21st birthday in 1988, my present of my parents was a new amplifier. It was a Session Rocket 20 amplifier. Anybody else remember those? Lovely amp, and the amp and some leads and a couple of pedals. I think I got an overdrive pedal and a chorus pedal as well, came to £200. That's what my parents shelled out for me on my 21st birthday as my special present. And, that was £200 in 1988 money. So to get all of what you get on the Spark these days for, as I said, as little as 250, I think is, it's a bargain. There's no other word for it. Many people have said that the Spark sounds too bassy. Well, I'm sorry, I just don't find that. I mean, that's why it's got a bass control. Turn it down if you don't like it bassy. I mean, just kind of strumming a little bit now. I mean, it's full, it's got body to it, but it's not what you'd call, an overly bassy, kind of muddy sound by any stretch of the imagination, to my ears anyway. Another common criticism is that, there's no sustain, the notes die off. Not a problem I'm having. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that many people often have the noise gate set too aggressively, so it just chops off the end of the notes. So in terms of the sounds that I'm getting for the money laid out and the options, and just when there's nothing on TV, it's nice to just come and have a few things to come and fiddle with and play around with and see what kind of weird and wonderful tones you can cook up. I'm going to be having a lot of fun with it has to be said. So a lot to like about this amp, but there are a few things that make me scratch my head a little bit. Let me tell you a story. There's a council, there's a local authority in the UK that decided to, in all of the council-owned buildings, that they were going to put multilingual signs on all of the doors, like the council-owned leisure centre and the office buildings and stuff, basically as a way of reflecting the ethnic demographic of that part of the world. And then they thought, that wouldn't it be a good idea to prevent vandalism to these signs, to put them behind a kind of perspex or plexiglass screen so that, people aren't going to be defacing them. And they did that with all of the signs, including the Braille ones. And it's that level of what on earth were they thinking about that does strike me, about a couple of things on this amp. First of all, it is stereo. Okay, when you play back music through it, you get a big room-filling stereo sound. Yet, the effects are mono. It would be nice if you could have stereo delays, especially, and reverbs and choruses and stuff like that, especially when you're recording. But so far as I can tell, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the effects are all mono. It's not the end of the world. If you want stereo effects on your tone, if you're using this amp as your main guitar tone for recording or anything like that, then you can add those effects in, turn the effects off in the Spark app and add them later on in your DAW in a stereo form, or you can record onto 2 mono tracks simultaneously and then pan them left and right and offset one of them by about 20 milliseconds. And you've got a bit of stereo separation there, but it just seems like, well, who took the decision that, okay, we're going to make all the effects mono, and why? So that's the first thing. The other thing is, the Smart Jam thing. I've been having a play around with that. I thought when I was talking about there's going to be a lot of features that I'm not going to be using, that was one of them. And it's not something I'm going to be using because it's pretty dim-witted and numb, to be honest with you. If you are playing full bars of major and minor chords, then essentially what it does is it listens to what you play. You play 8 bars of chords, and it will give you a backing track based on that chord sequence that you can jam along with. So far as I can see, it only gives you a bass and drums backing track. Maybe I'm missing something in a menu somewhere that you can make it into a full band backing, but all I've been able to achieve is a bass and drums type backing, which, for something to jam along with, it would be nice if the chords were in there as well. And as I say, if you're playing full bars of major and minor chords, then it's fine. But it really struggles, in my experience, limited though it is of this, to be able to detect a chord change halfway through a bar. So if you're going, for instance, A to E, like that, a bar of each, no problem. But if you go like that, where you're changing halfway through the bar, or even a pushed or syncopated change like that, then it completely confuses it and it just doesn't recognise it. It doesn't like you playing major sevenths or minor sevenths or minor 7 flat 5s. Throw it a diminished chord, and it just basically doesn't like you at all. It goes off into a corner and sulks. Now you might think, well, okay, but who's going to play all those kind of jazzy chords? Well, yeah, you do find those kind of chords in jazz, but you also find them in the music of bands like the Beatles, Queen, ELO, plenty of bands that you wouldn't think of as highfalutin, jazzy kind of stuff. You'll find chords like that in that music, and basically the Smart Jam function doesn't like those kind of chords. What else do I need to mention? Yes, using it as a Bluetooth speaker. Obviously, you have to, in order to use the app on your phone, you have to have the Bluetooth enabled on your phone, and basically then it functions as a Bluetooth speaker for your phone. But if you've already got the amp USB'd up to a PC, like I have over here, you can see it's kind of USB'd onto that laptop over there on the other side of the desk, then your phone is basically sending it some audio, and the Spark is saying, no, sorry, I can't deal with that, I'm too busy, and I'm busy dealing with the audio coming from this PC that I'm USB to. So if you're thinking, for instance, about using that Smart Jam function to record a backing track onto a PC that you're USB'd into, it may work for you. Maybe this is just something with my infrastructure and setup here, but I couldn't get that to work. You know, it'll either do audio via Bluetooth from your phone, or it'll do audio, act as an audio device for your computer. It doesn't seem to want to do both at the same time. The other thing is that because my phone is now sending all of its audio to the Spark amp, I'm sat here during the day working away and thinking, I'm usually getting notifications on my phone, or by, you know, texts have landed or emails have landed or something like that, and my phone's been silent. It's because all of those notifications are part of the audio that the phone is sending to the amp, and the amp is saying, no, too busy, can't do anything with those. So I miss messages. It's not a problem. Once you know about it, all you got to do is use the app on your phone to dial in your sounds on the Spark, then turn the Bluetooth off, and you know, then your phone kind of decides to renounce its vow of silence and let you know when an email or a text message or something important that you need to know about lands in your inbox. So basically, the Smart Jam function isn't really, as far as I can tell, something I'm going to be using. If you're using it and enjoying it, then fine. And the the whole kind of Bluetooth or USB connection is another thing that's a bit puzzling, and the mono effects. The other thing that's quite surprising is that I'm a huge fan of Positive Grid Bias Amp. I use it as my sort of de facto recording guitar amp tones. And one of my favourite tones in in Bias Amp 2 is the emulation of a Marshall JTM 45. It's a beautiful, warm, vintage, clean sound that can kind of get a bit hairy around the edges when you push it a little bit. And there is a JTM 45 in the Spark app, but they don't sound remotely similar. Here's what I mean. You're going to hear, I think it's the Spark JTM 45 emulation first, followed by the Bias Amp JTM 45 emulation, and you'll hear that they don't sound the same, and crucially with the same settings. Let's have a listen to the comparison. See what I mean? Now, I'm sure that I will, after much faffing around, be able to get the sound, my preferred JTM 45 sound, out of the Spark app. But with the settings virtually identical on both emulations, you would have expected it to be something pretty close to being the same sort of sound. The other thing that you might want to think about, certainly I'm thinking about it as well, is it's a little bit difficult on a regular sized phone to kind of see what you're doing on some of the finer points of tweaking dials on amp simulations and stuff on the app. So I'm probably just going to go out and get myself a cheap Android tablet solely as a control device for using the Spark app, and we might see if that cues that Bluetooth option kind of quandary as well. So there you go, folks. Those are my initial thoughts on the Positive Grid Spark Practice Amp. Overall, I'm very pleased that I got it, but there's just one or two things that make me think, yeah, why did they do that? Let me know what you think down in the comments, and when I do the Sunday solo slot when I'm having a bit of a jam, I can foresee there's going to be one of those videos where I'm actually using the Spark to do a whole bunch of different guitar sounds in a piece of music. So I'll keep you posted on that. But that is the video for today, folks. Hope you found it useful and informative. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not give me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer, talk music, talk guitars. Fantastic way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.